Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. Because I feel like these days a lot of us are just surviving because of the greed and the avarice of all the rich, whiny billionaires in this country that continue to profit off of people and their continued endless amounts of work. You know, we've seen a period in American history where we've had companies have a lot of power, consolidation, and that period did not go well. It ended up resulting in a huge Great Depression afterwards. That one of the biggest gaps between the super wealthy and the rest of us. And we're approaching that in a different way, but nevertheless we are. So today, we're actually going to be talking about corporate consolidation. And you're like, Scott, why couldn't we have talked about something a little bit more lighthearted and funny? It's Friday. It's Friday. I promise this is going to be one of the most worthwhile live streams you may have ever been in. And this is actually a really proud moment for me because one of my the most popular video that I've ever done has been specifically talking about corporate consolidation and the idea behind the illusion of choice. So a lot of companies will just swallow up other companies and then pass the cost along to the consumers. We're going to be talking about that today. That's the biggest crux that I want to basically talk about in the live stream. The live might end up being a little bit shorter than normal, but nevertheless, I'm really excited to get into today's live stream. If you're watching this back as a video, secretly you're my favorite because not a lot of people end up watching the live streams afterwards. Good morning, Akicha. Good morning, Ginger Monster. How are you all? How are you all? What is, as you're scrolling in here, what is the first word that comes to mind when you see this graphic? What is the first word that comes to mind? You see a lot of these brands. I know it's hard to see. You see all of these smaller companies, brands that all have a parent company that ends up being a bigger group, basically meaning that they're all not individual separate companies, but that they're all owned. Control, yeah, that's a good one. What's the first word that comes to your mind when you see this graphic? Comment below, what's the first word that comes to mind? Control, that's a big one. And you could see what this offers is the title of the live, illusion of choice. That's going to be the big thing we talk about today, an illusion of choice. And in a sense, this is incredibly anti-capitalistic. So it's really interesting in that way. You don't understand how any of this works. Says, why would you care? I'm gonna take a page out of your own book. I don't care what faceless profiles have to say. You don't know me, honey. You don't know me. Anyway, as you're scrolling in here, make sure to send some likes. We're gonna talk about corporate consolidation today. And I am going to be using an example and talk about how this has also been a part of the headlines. So thank you all for joining Raw and Unfiltered. I appreciate every single one of you. I am your host, Scott Johnson. And today we're going to be talking about corporate consolidation, corporate control, and how everyone as a result suffers. You and me. Often when corporations will merge, they will pass the costs along to the consumers. So when two big companies will merge, they're like, oh, well, we have to make up the revenue for all the money we spent with the merger, so we'll just raise prices for everyone because, hey, less competition. Less competition means more opportunity to price gouge. And this is what we're seeing in America. And all of this came about when I saw this headline today. Breaking news that affects everybody I'm looking at in the studio. Jake Tapper, who I'm not the biggest fan of, low-key, tells viewers that CNN may be on the verge of takeover by David Ellison. Now, I have in the past talked about corporate consolidation within media, and if I scroll far enough back within my camera roll, maybe I can find the graphic. It's going to be a while back, so give me just a hot second. I didn't prepare it as a graphic for today's stream, but it's probably in here. No, not just yet. Let's see. I covered it while I was talking about mergers and acquisitions in a previous live stream. It's all about the illusion of choice. The illusion of choice. Oh, there's all the Epstein files. Yeah, that was from a past live stream. Love that. Love that. Yeah, I think I reported on those Epstein files, and I think that Al Gore did not like it. So it just has decided not to push out my content as much, which kind of annoys me because I'm just trying to inform people, you know? I'm just trying to give them the information. Yeah, I would have to scroll all the way back to see if I can even find the graphic that I'm trying to look for about the illusion of choice. The illusion of choice. Because all these companies will then basically all be owned by one company. Wait, I feel like I'm getting close. Hold on. I feel like I'm getting close. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. Oh, that's just more Epstein stuff. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Maybe I didn't prepare it as a graphic recently. I thought that I did. But the reason why I'm talking about this today is because right now we're seeing unprecedented amounts of corporate consolidation. And this affects all of us pretty badly. So you all may have heard, but Skydance and Paramount recently merged. These are two big media companies. And they had to get special permission from the government in order to do so. And with decreased amounts of competition, you always have higher prices and those negative effects being passed along to consumers. Less competition means more opportunities to price gouge. This also happened a lot during the pandemic. The pandemic kind of fueled even more corporate consolidation because corporations would decide, hey, you know, we can just merge and then to recover the cost, we'll just blame it on inflation and we'll just raise prices. This is what got into price gouging as a topic for the election. So when you have big corporations try and merge, less competition happens, and then with less competition means less choice, meaning that oftentimes if you have less choices, you're stuck with one of those choices. And I'll be showing you all like a graphic of how this all works. Make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. If you're one of these people that's attempting to get under my skin in the chat, just literally go hug a cactus. Minding your own business is free, okay? You're entitled to your opinion, but also, sweetheart, read the room, okay? I'm not here to have a banter back and forth with no face profile people. I'm not doing that. No, this is the news live stream. So how does this relate to Jake Tapper with CNN and all that stuff? So Jake Tapper broke some unique news to viewers on Thursday's edition of The Lead, telling them that Paramount Skydance is poised to acquire Warner Brothers, Discovery, and potentially CNN. Which, by the way, if you all thought that these were independent entities, no. And that's another thing. When you really look at it, of all the stuff on our supermarket shelves, almost all of it is owned by only 10 companies. You think that all of these are separate entities? when in reality, they're all controlled by one company at the top. What they offer is like P&G. P&G offers Tide and Gain and Bounce all as different brands, but it's all owned by the same company. So when you have Paramount Skydance now attempting to buy Warner Brothers Discovery and even potentially CNN, it's like, how much control does one company need over the market? Now, of course, this gets into antitrust. Oh, we're not supposed to have we're not supposed to have one big company overseeing an entire market or entire monopoly in that sense. Well, those laws have been loosening even more and more. Those were put in place after the Great Depression, when you had huge amounts of corporate consolidation leading to huge amounts of wealth inequality. But yet, we seem to not have learned from the past, and we're continuing to do that. So on Thursday, Netflix said it would not match Paramount's bid of $111 billion for Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix reached a tentative deal to acquire a bunch of Warner Brothers Discovery, including HBO and Warner Brothers Movie Studio, though not CNN. But Paramount countered and Netflix declined to offer more. The acquisition will require regulatory approval in the United States and Europe. So just to put it in perspective, you have Paramount, and Skydance recently just merged. And now they're trying to merge again with another huge company, Warner Brothers Discovery. So instead of literally just trying to do business the right way, they're just deciding, hey, why don't we just merge? And then because to cover all the costs associated with merging, we'll just jack up the prices for everyone that have these subscriptions to all of these things. What are you going to do? Go to another streaming service? Go to another company? Are you going to go to another entity? Oh, we bought them all. Oops. That's the process here. When you have more corporate consolidation, they're offering you less choice and thereby basically de facto capturing consumers themselves. And what this does is it then sticks the burden of the increased cost on the consumers. They are externalizing their own costs in a way. Yeah, the price gouging is getting worse. And you think it's just in media? No, it's happening in every single facet. I can talk about how this is increasing prescription drug prices. So I could do a whole case study specifically on that. But continuing on here, however, Paramount CEO David Ellison reportedly told the Trump administration that he would, quote, make sweeping changes to CNN were his company to acquire it. President Donald Trump publicly weighed in on the media industry drama, saying it is imperative that CNN be sold. Trump has long complained about the network, which he maintains is unfair to him. Just because you're not constantly praising you does not mean it's unfair. Shortly after the news broke, Tapper came back from a commercial and told viewers that Netflix had dropped its bid and that Paramount was the leading bidder for Warner Brothers Discovery and HBO. He noted that Paramount's intent to acquire CNN as well. So we have some breaking news in our national lead that affects everybody. I'm looking at right now in the studio. Moments ago, Netflix said it's declining to raise its offer for the purchase of Warner Brothers Studios, HBO, following the Warner Brothers Discovery's board's determination that Paramount, which is not just going for Warner Brothers Studios and HBO, but has the whole enchilada, including us here at CNN, Paramount has submitted superior offer according to Warner Brothers Discovery Board. As I've noted, Warner Brothers Discovery is the parent company of CNN. So this corporate consolidation is a huge problem in real time. And what ends up happening is with less competition, you have more of the opportunity for these companies to then raise their prices. Let me give you an example here. So it doesn't fit in here. Well, whatever. So this is what happens if I don't actually size all my graphics down to screen. I was gonna test it out and see what it looked like without sizing it down, but you get the gist here. So, guys, yeah, this is what happens if I don't size it down to screen. Yeah, I guess I do need to continue doing that. So I made this graphic this morning. I said, how corporate consolidation raises prices for all people. I'm sorry that there are some things that are cut off. You can understand and get my gist here. I'm going to turn off the comments so I can see more of the screen here. But I appreciate every single one of you that is liking the stream, commenting. I love all of you. If you're a quiet listener and you are in the stream, just comment yes. Just comment yes in the chat here below. Because I want to see how many people are those kind of quiet listeners. I appreciate every single one of you. I really hope that this little exercise here is something that you can take away. So, how corporate consolidation raises prices for all people. For example, you have 6 companies here. They all maintain market share for let's just call it grocery. So they are all in the market for grocery products. And let's just take a random product such as, let's see, what would be a product that's worth 25, that would be worth between like $20 and $25. That would be within grocery. Let's say that you sell frozen meals and like a big bulk frozen meal, and you have this as the price. Company A has the highest price because they have the highest quality, and company F has the lowest price because they have the lowest quality. Take that as the givens, okay? So you have 6 different companies all vying for the same kind of product, offering different prices based on quality, supposedly. So they all offer different offerings for merchandise. Now, let's say that company A and company B decide to merge. So you see the original prices of $25 and $24 for X product. Well, in order to cover the costs of merging, of that acquisition, of going through all the legal paperwork to do everything in order to merge companies A and B, staff raises for people in order to cover all those costs, they decide, you know what? Because we spent so much money merging, why don't we then just jack up the price for the consumers? Because then they can pay for the merging. We've already captured the market for company A and B, so why don't we just do that? Well, because they raised their price, you also have companies C, D, E, and F all see an opportunity to raise their own threshold. Company A, B, C, D, E, and F have prices 25, 24, I think that's 22, 21, 20, and I think is that 18 or 19? It's hard for me to see. 18. Now, when company A and B merge, then they raise their price because to cover the cost, they will just merge. Then they're like, okay, we'll pass it on to the consumer. What are they going to do? Go to another person? Well, what also ends up happening? They might, but these people see an opportunity to raise their own prices. So you see that company D goes from $21 to $24. You see that company E goes from 20 to 23. You see company F goes from 18 to, I think that's like 21. So you see how when you have less competition, the opportunity is there for companies to increase their prices. And you can say, well, I mean, yeah, but like, of course they're gonna do that. Well, right, but who suffers as a result? You and me. Because company E and company F, being the lowest quality and thereby the cheapest, they're going to stay the lowest price, no matter if they are at 18 and 20, like they are originally here, or if they are at 23 and 21. Because, hey, at least they're cheaper than D, C, and company AB. So do you see the kind of metrics, the game that's being played here. As soon as one company raises their prices because of corporate consolidation to cover the costs of the mergers, you have companies E and F also see the opportunity to raise their own price because, hey, they're going to stay the lowest price even if they raise it. This is also what happens with tariffs as well. That's a whole nother subject. A tariff is a tax on an imported good. So when imported goods, which by the way, tariffs are paid by the US importer, not the foreign country. Tariffs are paid by the American companies and businesses that do that. And in order to compensate for paying more for the tariff, they then pass along the costs to the consumer, which then increase this even further. This is why we are seeing you pay more and more for less and less substance. This is why you pay more and more for groceries and even get less and less quality, less and less substance. You see what I mean? This also happens with all different types of companies. It happens with insurance. You pay more and more and more for your insurance premiums, co-pays, whether it's health insurance, auto insurance, but then you get less and less coverage. You see it with hospitality. You pay more and more for something and you get less and less of a service. You see it in grocery. You pay more and more and more and you pay more for that bag of apples, but then you get less apples in the bag and they're more expensive. You see it with pharmaceuticals. You pay more and more for your prescription drugs, but then they don't do anything to actually change the prescription. They might actually make it more and more expensive over time. And then they are offering less perks for pickup, all of that kind of stuff. You see how this corporate consolidation makes it leaves an opportunity for companies to increase prices for all people. Let's take it even further. So company A and B merge. Let's say that companies C and D and E and F also both merge. Less competition means more opportunities to increase price. Well, with that means that consumers, if they want to go out and buy this product, let's say that it's just grocery products in general, then you have, okay, here are the prices that you can choose between, 31, 28, and 25. Before then, you had a lot more choices. You had a lot more choices. You could go for the lowest priced option if you wanted. But what's interesting is with it consolidating in the way that it is, the cheapest price, the $25, is actually originally the highest price from company A. But now, company A is charging way more. So what this happens when wages don't end up keeping up with inflation, where you haven't gotten a raise or you are paying more and more and more but getting less and less in the long run, this is what happens. You're squeezing working class and middle class people with the profits being passed along to the higher ups, the shareholders, the investors at these companies. This is what's happening in our economy in real time, perpetrated by both political parties, particularly Republicans. Just being fair. So, all of this being said, this is a problem that affects all of us. Now, let's say that company G comes along. Hey, we're going to be the lowest cost opportunity, or we're going to be the lowest priced option. We're going to offer something that is really, really cheap. Let's say that, I know the graphic is cut off here, but if I remember correctly, I put it in here as it was $24. Hey, it's the cheapest option. It's $24, cheaper than all of them, even company EF. Well, if you remember, company G coming along and offering a low cost option, that was still originally the second highest price, company B. So let's say that company EF goes, ooh, opportunity. A lot of people really like this product. You know what? We're going to offer to buy your company, and you're going to see profits for your shareholders go up and the value of the product, all of that corporate gobbledygook. So let's say that company EF decides to swallow company G. All the consumers pay more. All the consumers pay more. So when you have less competition, it gives corporations the opportunity to raise prices for everyone. Now you might say, oh, well, this also helps employees in these companies make more money. And then those people end up fostering into the economy and contributing more and more. Sure, but that's only for the people that are a part of these companies. It's not for all people. It's only for specifics. And just because a company is so big doesn't mean that they pass those savings, pass those benefits down to their workers. They might offer them some breadcrumbs, but the primary benefits go to their shareholders, the executives at the top, because that's how corporations work. So we all end up paying more. Do you all remember when AT&T, Verizon, but then you also had Sprint and T-Mobile, all used to be different companies, they would all vie? Well, then Sprint and T-Mobile were like, oh, let's merge. And now T-Mobile is the biggest retailer. But you know what they ended up doing is like, okay, well, we're going to charge more and more because we have less and less competition. Verizon and AT&T also see an opportunity to raise their own prices for cell phone services. So everyone suffers as a result. Y'all catching my gist? This is what happens with our economy. This is particularly with the pandemic as well. Corporate consolidation is growing at such a massive rate that it is making everyone, regardless of your political affiliation, pay more for everything. We're all suffering as a result of it. And most all, if not all, of those profits, of the benefits, are going to the top shareholders, the top executives, people like Larry Ellison. People like Larry Ellison, whose corporation, Skydance Paramount, want to merge even further. They just did a big merger and they want to now merge with Warner Brothers Discovery. So this is also what happens with drug companies. One small drug company will patent a drug that does a specific function to cure someone's illness. Well, you know, drug companies, they also invest money into research and development to develop new prescriptions, new treatments. Well, these pharmaceutical companies might say, oh, we don't want to spend money trying to do research and development to do a new drug that, you know, sometimes you could go years without having a breakthrough. Why don't we just swallow up other companies and then raise prices for everyone else? Raise prices for everyone else taking that drug, taking that prescription. Well, what you can also do is if someone is on a life-saving prescription to control like the copper in their blood, you could take a prescription that was $5 per tablet, $5 per tablet per day, and then you could say, well, we're going to increase that to $10 per tablet. You've basically doubled the price. What are they going to do? Not take it? If they don't take it, they might die. So you can take a prescription, a drug that someone needs to live, and you can basically squeeze them. You can turn straw into gold in that instance. Because what are they going to do? Not pay for that life-saving treatment prescription? You can increase it $5 per tablet per day to then $20 per tablet per day. If they're like, well, I'm going to pay it, otherwise that means that I'm not going to have access to that, then I'm going to die. Why did that? They're the only company that offer that kind of treatment. This is where the greed and the avarice of these companies come in. But then what they end up doing is, well, how is this possible? There's no laws against it. There are no laws covering the greed and the avarice of these companies because they'll just pay money to politicians to then for their re-elections. Oh, just hush. We'll give you $10,000. That's enough money so that you can decide to focus on this other thing instead. So corporate consolidation is a huge problem. It decreases competition, but then sticks everyone with the increases in price. Let me read out some chats here. Are you all understanding what I'm talking about? Has this breakdown been helpful? I love how it's just this one person that is just constantly rage typing in here and everyone is ignoring them. Wow. If you all are laughing with me at this one person that's constantly rage typing, like, just type a laughing emoji. Are you all understanding what I am saying here with corporate consolidation, this being a problem, consumers getting stuck with the price? I'm doing a poll. Are you understanding the issues of corporate consolidation? Oh, I can't. You know what? I'm just not going to do a poll. Whatever. I'm not rage typing. I offered you a real conversation here twice. Sweetheart, this is not a conversation live stream. This is a news information live stream. I'm not here to go back and forth with a rage typing commenter. Sorry, I'm just not. There are other people that will do that, but I'm not here to do that. Scroll on, seriously. I hope you have a great day. Seriously, just scroll on. You're not gonna get what you need from me. You're not gonna get what you need from me. You're just not. This is a news live stream where I'm breaking down current events and putting it in perspective. If you want to share your opinion, that's great, but it's probably going to fall on deaf ears, especially if you don't have information or evidence to cite what you're talking about. So yeah, just letting you know. But do you all understand what I'm talking about? Do you all get it? Just type yes in the chat here. If you're one of these quiet listeners, I need your confirmation to know that it's not just me talking to this weird guy in here. I said, let's make a conversation instead of a monologue. That's not what the purpose of this live stream is, and this is my space that I opened up. You're not going to get what you need from me. Scroll on before I boot you. just saying. I seriously hope you have a great day. I appreciate you. Scroll on. You're not going to get what you need with me. You're not going to get what you need from me. So, corporate consolidation is a huge problem in that instance because it affects all of us, including this other person. You don't get it, do you? Oh, honey. Howdy. Hello. You don't get it, do you? I don't think that you're telling me that I don't get it. I've literally stated the rules of these live streams and you still are in here. I love you. You have like an obsession or something? Just scrolled in, don't know the conversation yet. It's not really a conversation, but it's talking about corporate consolidation. I'm not interested in having a conversation. I appreciate you, but I'm not interested in having a conversation. The why would you care, dude? No, I want to help you. I'm not asking for your help. I'm not asking for your help. Why are you treating yourself as like holy? Like you somehow are like, I'm just trying to help you. Did I ask for your help? Then this is useless. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. Dude, I'm telling you, scroll on. You're not going to get what you want from me. So did I study this? Why do I doubt that in some capacity? I'm just gonna continue onward here. So again, this corporate consolidation is a huge issue. It's a huge issue. And I'm very proud to actually point out that one of my most viewed video ever that I've ever done over on TikTok was specifically about corporate consolidation, where you have this illusion of choice, where you have one company owning all these different brands, which gives the consumer the idea that, oh, this brand is owned by this company or this brand is owned by this company, when in reality it's all owned by the same company. What it does is it offers people, what it does is it actually hides the real truth. Did you know that Dawn, Tide, Bounce, Gain, are all owned by the same company. Cascade, owned by the same company. When you go into your bathroom, you're like, oh, these are all different companies that all are owned by, no. You go to your company and you actually really look at all your products, a lot of it's probably owned by P&G. They own a lot of your bathroom products. And this is an outdated graphic too, because as I was talking about, these mergers are always happening. When you go into your kitchen and use kitchen appliances, cleaners and stuff like that, you have Charmin, Tampax, Pampers, Gillette, Mr. Clean, Gain, Bounce, Tide, Dawn, Cascade, all owned by the same company. They also end up owning, P&G also owns Duracell or Pure or Braun, Oral-B, Crest. You know the idea that like Crest and Oral-B are supposed to be competing? They're owned by the same company. They might have their own separate entities in some capacity competing with each other, but in reality, they're both owned by the same company. The same way that your work might have different departments that in some way can kind of compete with each other for something, but in reality, as long as they both do well, then the whole company does well. So what ends up happening is you have this illusion of choice. You can take this even further with big corporations like BlackRock or Berkshire Hathaway or State Street, even owning different shares of those companies. The idea that, oh, everything is like independent. No, you have a lot of corporations that own other ones. And as soon as consolidation happens further and further and further, it raises prices for everyone. That's the big crux that I want to get across. This happens under both parties, Republicans more than others, but happens under both parties. When there's no checks on corporate consolidation, we all pay the price, regardless if you are black, white, gay, straight, whether you're an immigrant, whether you're Christian, Jewish. We all pay the higher prices that come along with corporate consolidation. This is also what happens with shrinkflation, where you pay more and more and more for a bag of apples at the grocery store, and then you get less apples in the bag. Maybe they're even less quality apples. It's the same where you're paying more and more for your car insurance or your health insurance, but then we're gonna have to decrease the amount that we're covering you for. We're going to have to decrease the amount of visits that you were covered for. We are going to have to increase the price a little bit, but then we are going to decrease the amount that we're covering your copay or your deductible, all that stuff. You see what I mean? It happens within pharmaceuticals. We're gonna make you pay more and more for your prescription over time, but then we're gonna offer less other services with that. It happens in hospitality. You pay more and more for a certain service, and then you get less and less perks, but the amount that you pay goes up. So I'm saying all of this because this is one of the biggest problems within our economy. It's caused by a myriad of things. The pandemic certainly didn't help with throwing a monkey wrench in the supply chain. But also the pandemic offered an opportunity for corporations to then say, well, why don't we just consolidate? Why don't we just buy other ones and then stick the consumers with the cost? Because hey, if other people do it, then we'll see an opportunity to raise prices for everyone. Tariffs also coming along, doing the same thing. When a tariff is basically an artificial inflationary tool for prices. A tariff is a tax on imported goods paid by retailers, American retailers. They're not paid by the foreign countries. China is not paying for the tariffs. India is not paying for the tariffs. Canada is not paying for the tariffs that we are imposing. No, the tariffs are a self-imposed tax on imported goods paid by corporations. What ends up happening? Well, the corporations say, if I'm going to pay 10% more for the materials that we need in order to then make this product, then we're going to pass that cost along and make the product more expensive to cover the costs. You think the corporation is then going to swallow the loss? No. corporations have a financial fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, to their investors. They put in money into the company, they're expecting to get a return on their investment. That's how it is built. So when you don't have adequate regulation going in and saying, hey, that's actually a lot of market share, that would then decrease competition, stifle innovation. It's going to lead to a whole bunch of problems. This is why corporate consolidation is a huge issue. It's a huge issue. It's a strategic process where two or more companies combine to form a single new legal entity, often increasing market share to achieve synergies, boost efficiency. Those are the perks, but also what ends up coming are also tremendous costs. Corporate consolidation oftentimes undermines worker and consumer power. It is also behind the rise in inflation. In the summer of 2021, Kroger CEO said on a call with analysts that, quote, a little bit of inflation is always good in our business, as the grocery stores can simply just raise prices, passing on costs to consumers who, according to the CEO McMullen, don't overly react to that. Kroger didn't use its record profits to keep prices low or track with inflation, but sought to rake in even more profits by passing on inflation plus a little bit more to its shoppers. What, are Kroger shoppers just going to go somewhere else? Well, maybe, but then those companies are likely going to do the same thing. They're going to buy up more independent small grocers, then they're going to pass those costs along. Again, that goes to the example that I will cover again in a minute. Consolidation often undermines worker and consumer power, eliminating competition for both. A 2018 study revealed that 75% of US industries experienced an increase in concentration, meaning fewer and larger firms control more market share over time. The study demonstrates that decreased concentration leads to increased profits for the dominant firms, but that those profits are arising from increased markups rather than greater efficiency. The paper points out that profits have flowed to investors rather than investments in capital or workers, reflecting the real-world example of Kroger described above. If you're one of these people that says, oh, well, the money that these corporations, they can then pay their workers more. They might give them a small raise to then like pacify their workforce, but not enough to the point where it's actually warranted. Those workers are the ones that help that company do that. So you see the corporate consolidation raises prices for everyone, but then you're also choosing to have faith in the company to do what's right for their workers, which what we're seeing today, when wages don't keep up with inflation, and you have people at the top increasingly getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, the shareholders and the investors, decreases faith in the company. And then those institutions will say, why are people not trusting our product anymore? Gee, because you're gaslighting them into paying more for the same product without improvements and less quality. And then these corporations, it's like these rich people are holding their pearls being like, oh my God, why do you hate me? So it's gaslighting the economy in real time. Let me give you an example. Let me cover this again. I am also baffled at how low attendance is right now. I'm actually like, how is this possible? But who knows? Maybe big corporations don't like the fact that I'm pointing this out. So I decided to create this example this morning over Canva. Okay, how corporate consolidation raises prices for all people. If there's any moment in the live stream that I really want you all to help send some likes, comment, share the stream, it's right now. Okay, I appreciate every single one of you. How corporate consolidation raises prices for all people. Let's take for example, that there are 6 companies, all offer product X at different prices. I know it's hard to see. I didn't size down my graphics, I apologize. Company A, B, C, D, E, and F all offer different prices, ranging from $25, $24, $22, $21, $20, and $18. Company A, let's say that they have the highest price because they have the highest quality. Company F has the lowest price because they have the lowest quality product. Take those as some givens, okay? It shows competition. Now, let's say that companies A and B wanted to merge to create company AB. Well, they're like, okay, in order for us to cover the costs of the acquisition of the merger, of all the legal fees, all the logistics in order to do that, we're just gonna raise the price. So they're gonna raise the price from $25 and $24 to $28. Well, then all the other competitors say, well, okay, they're raising their prices. So it's an opportunity for us to also raise our prices. So companies C, D, E, and F all decide to raise their own prices. So you have originally company F goes from 18 to then I think it was like 21 or 21. Then company E goes from 20 to 23. You see that consolidation in real time. Let's say that all 6 of those companies wanted to just form 3. Well, you have companies A, B, they've merged, company C and D merged, company E and F merge. Well, the lowest cost now, if you want to get the lowest cost product, it's going to be company EF at the price of $25. But let me keep in mind that before corporate consolidation came along, $25, that was the most expensive. But now, it's the most expensive for the lowest quality product. So when corporations merge, it gives an opportunity for them to raise their own prices, because what are they going to do? Consumers going to go somewhere else? They might, but then they have less choice. Let's say that this was product X that was a life-saving prescription in order for people to continue living. You're basically cornering them into paying more for that kind of product. So what this ends up doing is it affects everyone. It goes with shrinkflation. You're paying more and more for the same thing, but getting less and less perks, less and less coverage. You're paying more for a bag of apples, but then you're getting less apples in the bag, less quality apples in the bag. That's what happens with corporate consolidation. This is happening in our economy in real time in so many different industries and facets. It's a huge problem, has been under both Republicans and Democrats. More so one than the other, but I will continue to point out that it happens under both. Let's say that you have company G come along and say, hey, we're going to be the lowest cost alternative, the lowest cost. Let's say that it's $24 or 23. Well, keep in mind, $24, that used to be the second most expensive alternative, and now they're the cheapest by comparison. If wages don't keep up with inflation, which they haven't, then your profit share as a worker, working class, middle class continues to go down. You're paying more and more for stuff and getting less and less coverage, less and less perks. You're generating less wealth for you to build yourself up. Let's say that company G then gets merged with companies E and F. The price goes up to $27. That's still the cheapest because all these other ones say, oh, we're raising ours too. The consumers suffer. So when you have corporate consolidation amongst any sort of industry, let's take grocery. When one company like P&G owns almost all of your bathroom products, they can basically charge you at will for what it is. P&G owns Bounce, Tide, Dawn, Cascade, Mr. Clean, Febreze. They also own Old Spice, Tampax, Charmin, Gillette. They can basically charge whatever they want, because then you have another company that also might own a whole bunch of other bath products. So with less competition means that consumers end up holding the bag. They can basically, through process of elimination, charge you more, because what are you going to do? Go to the competitor? They're also charging more. So what are you going to do? Go back to your original? It's a game theory ploy that companies use in order to then all profit more. Profits for their shareholders, profits for their investors, and they often don't pass it down to their workers. And without adequate regulation from the government, eliminating the opportunity for this bad behavior, the good majority of working class, middle class people suffer. They suffer. The people who are protecting this corporate consolidation as an institution, like, what are you doing? How are you benefiting unless you're one of the rich people at the top? Never liked the thought that chemical companies also own a large portion of food production. Yes, Monsanto Bayer own a lot of our food production. Monsanto Bayer actually own a lot of the seeds for food production. They are a chemical company. So it's really, really crazy. Capitalism, you gotta love it. This isn't, and I'm much more of like, I'm much more of a leaning socialist in that sense. I want a very strongly regulated capitalism at the least, but I would rather at least go down that route of, but right now, we don't even have regulated capitalism. We don't even have regulated capitalism. Our capitalism is just out of control. I want to have more of a socialistic kind of structure, but at least have some regulated capitalism, right? You know, like at least go there. I care more about progress than purity. Like I would rather at least go down the right route than purity tests saying like, oh, that, like, I would rather take incrementalism than nothing at all, but incrementalism is still not good enough. You know what I mean? So I will take regulated capitalism over socialism, true, but also like, we don't even have regulated capitalism in that sense, you know? C-Bar, I appreciate you. I've been here the whole time. Algorithm, I think, is stifling me, which really sucks. I'm trying to do information and content and all that stuff, and doesn't matter how hard I work sometimes, it still doesn't get through, which really sucks. I don't know if it's a personal thing. I don't get it. What's your definition of regulated capitalism? That would be a little bit more robust conversation, but I would just say at least stopping excessive amounts of corporate consolidation from happening, stopping the idea of all these corporations basically getting so much market share to the point where they're able to price gouge people, and yet it's the best system in the world. Right. Yeah, it's the best system. It's going to be the golden age of America for the rich, the wealthy, and the powerful, like me, some people say. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. What happened to the bass? Your voice? What happened to the bass in my voice? What happened to the bass? It's all about that bass. Actually, why don't I just go up even higher, okay? Like, you don't like the bass in my voice? Then I'm just gonna be incredibly, incredibly feminine, and if my voice decides to then somehow make you upset, then that's your personal problem, and you can build a bridge, and you can get over it. You can get over it, sweetheart, okay? Go eat yourself a Snickers. Go have yourself a wonderful day. You know, I'm just here to be my cute little gay self, and if you don't like it, then go hug a cactus. Go step on a Lego. Minding your own business is free. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you. My job shows me how price gouging impacts people 100%. And like rate choice voting, let's do it. That would be really, really cool. That would be really cool, having ranked choice voting. So anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. That was the show today. To those of you who have been here this whole time with me, I love you all. I really, really love you all. If you all have ideas as to how we can grow the stream, then please comment that in my videos. I love feedback. I love feedback. Now, if you're one of these people that's constantly like, oh, let me just use this as an opportunity to be a prick, think again. I appreciate every single one of you. I am trying to make more content, but it is tough working a full-time job and then also trying to do content. It's exhausting. I always learn something. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you also vocalizing and saying that, because sometimes it's hard for me. Put yourself in my shoes. Sometimes it's hard for me to see the impact of what I'm doing. It really is, because I'm sitting here alone in my nice little studio apartment and I'm talking to my phone. I do my live streams on my phone. I'm talking to my phone. And I do see some comments coming in, but it's not physical people in my presence. So sometimes it's hard for me to see the impact of what I'm making. And this also happens with content creators in general, where then they can end up just chasing an algorithmic high instead of actually caring about the integrity of what they're doing. And so it really helps when I see the physical impact of my work. And sometimes it's really tough. And when you put in a lot of work and you don't feel like you're seeing the progress, it can really wear and tear on you. So it means a lot. It means a lot to see all of you in here. Thank you, Dude and Stella, JE Main Events. Yes, join the Discord. Join the Discord, y'all. Elisa is an amazing moderator and friend of mine. She manages our Discord, and definitely go and join that. I need to get more active in there. C-Bar, I appreciate and love you so, so much. You're awesome. Sending you lots of love and good vibes. You're number one. I love that. I love that. I am hopefully going to be posting this as a video maybe later today, the specific part about corporate consolidation. So we're going to be talking about all of that. I appreciate every single one of you. I need to skedaddle. I need to get to work. So shout out to my amazing moderators in here. Kate, Elisa, Akicha, and good friends, CR, JE Main Events. Y'all are incredible. I cannot do any of this without you all. Just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever, or the algorithm, ever dim your shine. I love you all so, so much. Bye!